IMLIAKUM AIER, part-time rocker, full-time Christian. So the next week I saw a band and then I was like, wow, cool name. And I went to check them out. Those were my band members who had started a new band. They had kicked me out and I didn't even know that I was kicked out of the band. And then one day I just woke up and then I remember sitting with them on our veranda as I was leaving for work actually. And I was like, hey, I've decided to leave my job. The practical side of me was like, Imli, you're throwing away your future, right? I'll have a job, I'll have a house. Yeah. Everything was so practical. Yeah. And for me to like throw it away. And then I was already 1.5 years into my PhD. Life did not make sense to me, right? I was frustrated, angry. And the reason I wanted to study theology as well is like, deep inside I knew why I was studying. I really wanted to know if God existed or not. I was angry. It was my anger that led me to seek God. Prism was a turning point in my life. From the first day itself, I knew I was in the right place. There was this peace in my heart that I had not experienced for a very, very long time. And then I think this was the peace I was looking for.
And it's one addiction that you cannot, the devil has done it in such a way that you cannot be open about it. It's people have thought, okay, if I get a girlfriend, it'll be fine. If I'm married, it'll be fine. Yeah, but then you read about all these things where they're married, they have kids, but they still can't get out of it. And
I was also a functioning addict. It was, you could not see it. If you met me, you would never know. But then it got to a point where I knew I was addicted, right? The last time I remember I had 16 pills in my hand that day. The moment I was going to take it, I mean, back then it was a voice. Now when I look back, it was God speaking to me. It was a very clear voice that said, Imli, you cannot take this. If you take this, you're not going to survive. Like, it was a very clear voice. I remember.
Good. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Munguli Sangtam podcast. Today we have a very, very special guest with us. We have IMLIAKUM AIER. Thank you so much, Udi, for joining us. Before we start, is the mic okay?
Yeah.
Good?
Good?
Audio? Yeah. Good? Yeah, so tell us who you are. Tell us a little bit about yourself before we get started.
IMLIAKUM AIER, part-time rocker, full-time Christian.
Hey.
Kidding. I'm IMLIAKUM AIER, a singer-songwriter from Dimapur, Nagaland. I have my own stuff as a solo artist. I'm also the frontman for the band The Electric Cool Kid.
Yeah.
So I think that'll do for now.
Yeah, that's good. What's been up?
A lot of things.
What do you want to start with?
What do I want to start?
Let us start with your story. Tell us a little bit about, so that people know you. I have known you a little bit before I got to know you personally. I've heard your songs, and Dancing in the Capital was my first introduction to you, and I fell in love with that. Which I think a lot of Nagas do, even Bodevi, and we were just talking about it as well. But just to know a little bit about who you are, where you came from, can you tell us a little bit about your early days?
I think most people would know me for my songs and as a songwriter. And the funny thing is that it was never my intention to be a songwriter.
Wow.
I got into singing very late in life. College, I think I started my band when I was in college, which was an accident and a very funny story as well. Would we want to go into that right now?
For sure.
I remember when I was young, I was never really good at anything. I mean, I was an okay student.
Yeah.
Not bad, but
where was this?
School.
Like we're in Koima,
Dimapur. Born and brought up.
Yeah.
Born in Auyumti actually.
Oh yeah?
I was born here.
Wow. Nice.
Studied my whole life. I've been in Dimapur.
Yeah.
So when I was in school, I was never really into sports. I was never really into, I mean, I was good in studies, but I would not say I was the best student, nor the worst. I remember when I was in class 8 or 9, I think I forced myself to love music.
Wow.
That's how
How does one do that?
I don't know. I just forced myself to listen to, because I do not come from a musical family.
Okay.
Like music was a very far-fetched idea in our family.
Wow.
We did not grow up listening to music, or I mean, we would listen to it casually, but never really put the serious thought to it. But then I remember in class 8, I remember my friend gave me a cassette, Green Day, American Idiot, and I remember staying home and like just putting on my earphones and listening to it from back to end, forcing myself to love music, right?
Oh wow.
So it's a very funny story because many people may think that I grew up loving music. I had it in me. Then I think that's how I got into it slowly. I just started listening to music. Then I started falling in love with it. I started doing more research. One thing about me is that once I get into something, I fully go into it. And then I started watching videos. Then I was like, wow, this seemed very interesting to me.
What was it? What was it that you were drawn to? Like, what is the one thing that you were drawn
The
to
freedom to,
when you were performing and all that? Or
yeah,
how?
the freedom I saw in them when they were performing.
Ah,
Like
nice.
they just seemed like larger than life.
Wow. Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is what music can give you, like the freedom to express yourself.
Yeah.
And I've always been a very timid, shy person, even though my friends will not know me like that, because once I'm comfortable, I'm very open.
Yeah.
But deep inside, I'm still a very shy. I'm introvert. I keep things to myself. Mon bisi bitora se.
Yeah.
That's what my mom always tells me. I keep things to myself. I've always been like that. Music has always music has always been an escape for me. So when I saw this artist, international artist, doing that, I was like, I don't know, it just struck a chord with me. But the funny thing was that I never really enjoyed singing, and I wanted to be a guitar player initially. So when I was in class 11, I guess, I started a band with my friends, my best friends, my colony members, my best friends. And then we started a band, and the funny thing is I was a guitarist there. And then I used to have, I won't say a rift, but a misunderstanding with the drummer.
Okay.
I wanted to be the leader, he wanted to be the leader. No room
Power struggle.
struggle. And then we performed for some shows, and I remember, if you for people who have,
this shows like college school shows, or
there used to be a place called Jumping Bean Cafe many years back
here in Dimapur?
in Dimapur. You might not know, but then
Yeah.
they used to have a regular show every Friday Night Live. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
where any band from Dimapur or anywhere you could register and just,
Yeah.
it's no longer,
You would register to do it.
yeah, you would like send them messages, and
Yeah.
they would it'd be like an open mic but
Oh,
for
wow.
bands.
Yeah.
So that's when we performed with my friends.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that it happened every week, right? So the next week I saw a band, and then I was like, wow, cool name. And I went to check them out. And the funny thing was that those were my band members who had started a new band. They had kicked me out.
Oh man.
And I didn't even know that I was kicked out of the band, right?
Oh man.
I used to be a guitarist back then. So I would not name names because, right? But then they had kicked me out. They're still my best friends, so they would understand. So they kicked me out of the band. They started their own band. And then I got really hurt when that happened, right?
Yeah, of
So I remember deciding that night itself that I'm going to form my own band.
Okay.
I'm going to become the singer.
Oh.
And then that was a Friday. So the next day, I went around looking for band members on a Saturday.
How does one do that?
I had a classmate who used to play the drums.
Okay.
So I called him. We did not have mobile phones back then. So I went to his house in Dison, I remember. I was like, hey, you want to start a band? He was like, okay. Do you know a bassist? I'm like, oh, our classmate plays the bass. So we went to his house, who was just his neighbor. So we asked him to join the band as well.
Yeah.
And then we're looking for a lead guitarist. We were up on the terrace of his house, and we are just wondering, I wonder who will play guitar for us, because now I had to become the singer, right? So I needed another guitarist to back me up. So while we were up on the terrace and we are just
I hope it's
discussing,
true. Yeah.
it's very true. So while we were up on the terrace and just discussing, there was this guy walking by the road, and the bassist was like, "Hey, that guy plays guitar." So I was like, "Hey, bro, can you come here?" He got up on the roof and he was like, "Do you play guitar?" "Yes." "Do you want to join my band?" "Yes." That's how the Electric Cool Kid was born.
No way. Until
Yeah.
date.
No, I mean members have changed.
Oh, okay.
While we were in college, and that's when I got into singing. That was the first time, and we formed this band on a Saturday because we were targeting the next Friday to perform. Because my other band members, my ex-band members, they were also performing there. So I wanted to show them that I'm better than them, like something like that. I was young, naive. So that's when we practiced for 2 days, I guess, and we performed that Friday on the same stage with my ex-band members. Just because, so I did not get into singing because I enjoyed singing. Initially, I mean.
Yeah.
It was the ego that was hurt. It was the young guy in me that wanted to prove something. So like, I'm going to. But then I'm very happy when I look back. Maybe I needed that push to become a singer, because before that I did not have the confidence to sing. I did not try. I've been a very shy person. I was very afraid to sing on stage.
Yeah.
But that
So you're not even in your room and all that, you consider yourself a singer?
alone, I would sing alone. But if there was anybody near me, I would never sing.
But it was that anger that made you.
That anger pushed. So it's a very funny story. So when people ask me, how did you get into singing?
It's
I'm
like,
like,
what do you call it? The villain origin arc.
Yeah.
Villain origin story.
That's how. Yeah. It started for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
But when I look back at it now, I'm very grateful.
Mm.
I mean, like, it's a funny story. Back then, it was not.
When did it shift? At what point did it become, now when you say you started with that spite and
Yeah.
all that stuff, at what point did you start realizing, okay, there's something here?
I think when I sang my songs for the first time on stage, I mean, for the initial first when that thing happened initially, we were doing covers and all.
Yeah.
But I always enjoyed writing. I've always considered myself.
So when did writing start?
Writing started class. I mean, I would say like serious writing started
Okay.
class 7, 8.
Class 7, 8.
Yeah, I mean, serious writing. When I look back at it now, it's funny.
Like songs.
Yeah, I think I started writing
Wow.
song in class 8. Very funny.
Can we
songs.
delve into that? Like, how did that start? Like, because you said class 8 was when the Green Day happened.
Yes. Yeah.
That means even before that you were writing.
Yeah. I mean, I was always intrigued with people who could write,
Okay.
like share their point of view.
Yeah.
And then I've always admired people who could create
Mm?
something out of nothing. I
Yeah.
mean, you have a point of view, but
Exactly.
to put it into a melody or something. And maybe my mom as well. I grew up around. My mom's a writer,
Oh, wow.
so I grew up
Yeah.
in that environment,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
She never forced me to write.
Yeah.
I never saw her
But
writing.
you respected the art.
Yeah, and
because of
then
that,
maybe it just got into me because my mom would always. My house is filled with books. Both my
Makes
parents were teachers, are teachers.
Yeah.
So I think subconsciously all those things were being put into me.
Wow.
And then I never thought I wanted to be a writer,
Mm.
but I would not say I see the world differently because I'm not going to speak like that of myself. But then I have always had a very peculiar perspective in life, and
Yeah.
then I've always wanted to. I've been very vocal about my feelings.
Mm.
So one way I could share my feelings or my point of view was through writing. So my whole life, even to this day, I consider myself more of a writer than a singer. But then initially when I started writing, I would ask other people to sing for me, right? Because I was the guitarist.
Yeah,
But they never really connected with me because those were my words,
Yeah,
my
yeah,
point of view. So
yeah.
when someone else sings it,
It's not real.
yeah, maybe they understand a little bit, but then
It's not authentic.
yeah, it's not
like-
authentic.
Yeah.
But then since I was too shy, I never gave it a shot. But as I
So you
started,
were writing full-fledged songs when you were 14, 15.
yeah, but cheesy love songs, like
But still, like, you're
Yeah.
writing songs that you...
I was trying to write. I was trying to write.
Okay.
So yeah, that's how it started. And then the thing that attracted, that sealed the deal for me was like when I sang my songs for the first time.
Mhm.
I think that was, I don't know, like serious singing, like 2013, February 8th, I remember.
So this class 11, this break to the formation of Electric Cool Kid,
Yeah.
that happened which year?
Formation 2011, 12-ish, I
Also, like
guess.
about a year or two after.
Yeah.
into that, you
So
started-
we were just, the first initial years, I was just singing to prove my friends wrong, right? Then I was like, okay, now that I've
You've
done
been
it,
moving friends wrong for about 2 years.
2 years, yeah. That's how petty I was.
I thought it was for that 1 week.
No. I held on to that grudge for a very, very long time. So 2013, I think the first time I decided to sing my song on stage, I remember it was February 8th, 2013. That's when I performed for the first time and I sang my own songs. And then that night, I think something changed in me. Like I realized that I think I should be the one singing my songs.
Wow.
Right? Like I waited. I mean, for so many years, I expected someone else to portray my feelings.
Yeah.
But then never came. So like, Imli, I think you need to step up, and then I think
Yeah.
you need to be singing these songs because this is what you feel,
Yeah.
right? You cannot expect someone else to carry the same feelings.
Yeah.
So that night, I think something changed in me. Yeah, but so to this day, I mean, and I don't say this. I'm not. I really mean this. I do not consider myself a singer. I would say there are so many people I know who sing better than me.
Yeah.
I'm not a trained vocalist, but then the only way I can write even to this day is when I have a melody. I cannot just sit down and write. It's very difficult for me to
I
write.
think John Bellion also talks. Do you watch John Bellion's documentaries?
No.
Bro, like he was one of the first ones.
Yeah.
Like, sorry to cut you off, but like
Yeah,
just
yeah.
quick. That is so interesting because he was. I think it was like back in 20. I was in Hong Kong. I think 2018 when he was putting out like he was one of the first ones to document his life.
Okay.
Like the whole creative journey, and like he talks about it. Like he
Oh.
starts with the melody first.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
for
yeah.
example, All Time Low. He was like la 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 la. He started with that
yes.
and like starts putting words. Are you the same?
Same.
Oh,
I
wow.
cannot write. I mean, I know what I want to write about.
Okay. Yeah.
I have titles. I
I
have
think you need like a structure.
I have very clear. I have a very clear about what I want to write.
Mm.
But I never write words until I have a melody. So I always write melodies first. La 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 la.
Yeah.
Then I let it marinate. Keep it.
So
Keep
you
it.
need a guitar or something to get going, or just
Sometimes, mostly because I play the guitar a lot. So
Yeah.
the melody mostly comes when I have a guitar.
yeah.
So when I'm just ever since I was young, even though I listened to a lot of, I forced myself to love music. I never really spent time learning other people's songs.
Yeah.
I've never been a good cover artist, I would say.
Okay.
I've never picked up songs of other artists. These days, I try to pick up here and there to learn certain techniques.
Yeah,
or-
yeah.
ever since I was young, I always wanted to write my own songs.
Wow.
So it's very natural for me when I sit with the guitar.
Yeah.
It's very natural for me to just come up with melodies, and like, even though most of the melodies I do not use, right?
Yeah.
But then it's more difficult for me to listen to another artist and pick up their songs, because I'm not used to picking up other people's songs.
Yeah. Are you someone who values originality a lot? I think.
I mean, for me, yes, I would love to be remembered as an original artist.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I mean, I'm not everybody is a writer. Not everybody, and it's
fair.
It's fine.
Makes
It's fine.
sense.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But then this is what I enjoy. I enjoy writing.
Yeah.
I enjoy creating my own art.
And I think the way you say it, like you like the end to end, like the whole journey.
Yeah.
I believe, like to.
I mean, it's a thrill that's very difficult to explain.
Okay.
Like, there's nothing.
Yeah.
These the same old chords. There are only X amount of chords in this world, right?
Yeah.
There are only X amount of melodies you can come up with.
Yeah.
But every time you see it, it's something different.
It's the chemicals.
Yeah, and then it's so difficult to explain when you create something out of nothing. Like the satisfaction that you feel, and so every time I get overwhelmed, I'm like, it cannot be me, right? It cannot be all me.
Yeah.
There has to be a higher power at work.
Yep.
That's what I tell people. Like, because if it is just me, my words are limited, melodies are limited.
Yeah.
So how many songs can I write on my own?
Yeah.
Right.
The sparks, right?
Yeah.
Like the downloads.
So I'm like, every time I finish writing a song, sometimes I'm very overwhelmed. I'm very confused and overwhelmed and like filled with gratitude also sometimes. Like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
It can't be all me, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I relate to that so much because I'm the same. Like, I don't know how much you know about me, but like I'm a graphic designer, illustrator, and stuff, right? So back in school, it all started with art. We took it down, but I want to show you. So this is 2018 and all. This is my artwork.
Wow.
This, you call this wow? There's one. I'll show you one or two, which is like
more wow.
Yeah, this is nothing. Like I don't even like this anymore. Those things when like you don't like you call your class 7, 8, cheesy ones. You don't want this like that. This is I think I did this in like class
when you were young.
10 or something. Wow. But I always was an artist, like a visual artist. Like I used to draw a lot, and I always had that in me. Same like for me, my start of like this entrepreneurial itch came from this one story. There's like back in 20, I think I was in class 9 or 10. Like I said, I used to draw a lot, right? So we used to have like these art exhibitions back in school. One of my friends' father was an army officer.
Okay.
He saw my work and he was like, and he was posted in Arunachal. So they were having this war museum and they were like, yo, can you, we want to commission you to do like 4 martyr portraits and all. And I was like, wait, what? And then like I that was the first time I made like 4 portraits and I got paid I think like 20,000 bucks.
Oh.
And I was like class 10 or something. I was 16 years old and I'm like, wait, I could create something out of basically nothing.
Yes.
And I get paid for it. That's basically making money out of nothing. You get it? Like if you like simplify the equation, I'm like, wait. And I fell in love with that. And deep down, I also feel something that's something to do with value. We're providing value to someone, and we have a purpose in all of those things. Right? So same like, and I have that wow moments all the time. Like logos, like Prism logo and all that stuff. Like this happened to me when I was working with Mac Cosmetics. I had one of the campaigns with them, and I had to create a logo for their campaign. And I remember before I did that, I got the brief and I sat down to work, the canvas was empty, right? I was like brainstorming and all. And then like I just went, like I had the exact thing in my mind. Like I knew at one point that like it looks like this.
Yeah.
And 20 minutes later it was there.
Yeah.
Right? The ability to create something out of nothing that you could just imagine.
Yeah, you see
and
it
to your point,
before it happens.
It has to be something not us though.
Yeah.
We're created in this image.
Yeah. There has to be.
Yeah.
There is, not has to be. There is
that's,
something bigger. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait. So I want to get more into that. When did you start putting music out, like as an artist? Because you're performing. So you're performing way before you were putting things out, right? Like.
So
or let's even go back to like, when did you decide this is serious? Was it even
serious?
11, 12 already?
4 months back. I became a full-time musician 4 months back. So we'll back up here. Okay. So I was still writing songs. The Electric Cool Kid was there.
What? Yeah.
We should be taking like 3 podcasts or something.
Sure, you're welcome. Episode 4, 5, 6.
Yeah. So I was doing music. But then, mm, I don't know. I've always been sometimes very practical,
Yeah.
sometimes too emotional as well. There's no in between.
Bro. Yeah, it's a very
There's,
same like
so the practical person in me was like, Imli, how long are you going to do this?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
because like I said, I did not come from a family of musicians. I've never had musicians. To this day, I do not have musician friends. As in, like, the friends that I have are friends,
not your friends.
friends I've made like recently, right?
Are not your friends.
But my old friends are, none of my childhood friends are musicians.
Yeah,
They're all like, so, I mean, I was not brought up in that environment.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
music was, never came naturally to me.
Yeah.
So I was doing music here and there, but then what are we earning? We're not even earning that much, right? So I was like, how long am I going to do this? Like,
Context, how much were you earning actually? That back then? Just curious. One show would give you, or the whole band, how much?
during that time,
During that time,
we
just
were
want to
we
get
were
some
not we were
context.
not we did not release any original songs back then.
Okay.
So when we were doing the JBC, that's like the free jumping bean, the
Oh,
Friday
yeah,
night,
yeah, yeah.
we'd be getting paid 4,000, 5,000 max
Per band.
per band, and
Per
it
night.
divided among
Yeah,
four
yeah,
people, right?
yeah, yeah.
Max.
So
That
1,000
that is if we're headlining.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Imagine if we were not, if we were the opener, you'd be
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
paid 500,
Yeah,
1,000. So that's how it started.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I was like, I mean, the market, there was no market for music back then,
Exactly.
right?
Demand, supply, yeah.
Yeah. So then, even I have always been very interested in academics
Yeah.
because, like I said, both my parents are teachers. So I decided to study. I mean, I was always interested. So I studied, did my bachelor's in English. Then I studied theology,
Oh, wow.
BD.
Wow.
Then I did my master's. I was
Okay.
doing my PhD recently.
Oh,
And then
that I know. That I know.
yeah, then
Yeah.
I served as an assistant professor for 3 years, and I left my job just 4 months back, and I decided to become a full-time musician.
As like English.
No, I was teaching history.
Oh, wow.
So I did my master's in history of Christianity. So I was an assistant professor for 3 years,
Yeah.
and then 4 or 5 months back, I
good.
decided to just leave everything behind.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, time to become a full-time musician.
But that's so good because now it makes so much sense. Like all your songs, the depth in all of these, like it just makes so much sense when you have like
Yeah.
you can tap into all of these. Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes.
I have been very curious my whole life. I love asking questions. I love not knowing things.
Let me announce this here.
Yeah.
Like I was gonna, so we're planning to do like a PR package, not PR package, but like I'll give it to you also.
Yeah.
Every guest that comes, we're thinking of giving like certain like mugs or something, but not with the logo. Like
Yeah, yeah.
you wouldn't want to use something with my name on it, right? Like, but so we're thinking of like doing something with like a tagline. But my whole life I wanted to, if I ever write, I have like few book titles that if I write, I'll write in these titles. But one line that I always have is this thing called, and which I was gonna be designing a T-shirt with this. It's gonna be going, be dumb enough to ask smart questions, or be smart enough to ask dumb questions.
Yes.
Like front and back. But that,
Good.
exactly, right?
Works,
Like, same,
yeah.
I'm the most curious guy
Yeah.
as well. Like, yeah.
I mean, there's information, knowledge everywhere.
You just gotta grab it.
We need to grab both this. But knowledge is also very important. Information,
Yeah.
very important. So I've always been intrigued by people who knew more than me. I mean, there are times when I know more than them sometimes,
Yeah.
and I would love to share as long as they ask.
Yeah. As long as they ask.
Or like, because I'm not going to be like, oh, listen, I'm going to tell you something now.
But that's what professors do now.
Not me. I wait for my students to ask me.
You just go inside the classroom and you just
I
wait.
teach, and then I try to simplify,
Yeah, got
come down to what they know, and then simplify it as much as
Yeah.
possible. But I love asking questions, even to my students as well and friends.
Oh, wow.
I ask them, and I think that has helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Ever since I was a kid, I was a question box. Like my mom used to
So
tell me,
good.
like
So good.
people used to hate me because I used to ask.
Siblings?
I have a younger brother, just the two of us.
So 4 of you.
four of us.
Close family. Really
Small
close friends.
family, yeah, very close.
Yeah, that's so good. So good. How did your parents feel? But you were already going in this normal like I won't say conventional, but you were still, I think, going down this path which is
Yeah.
like professor and all that stuff. So
Yes. So, I mean, I don't think they were surprised, but they were surprised at the same time, right? Because
it.
I invested 3, 5, 7, 8 years of my life
Yeah.
pursuing this to become this for
Yeah.
this subject, right?
yeah.
And then one day I just woke up, and then I remember sitting with them on our veranda as I was leaving for work actually, and I was like, "Hey, I've decided to leave my job."
Oh,
And
wow.
they were a little surprised, but then they were surprised that I made this decision now, but at the same time, they were not surprised
Yeah.
because they
Yeah,
knew that
Yeah.
I always wanted
Yeah.
to pursue this.
Yeah.
And then this was a long time coming. I thought about this for over a year
Yeah,
because
yeah.
like the practical side of me was like, Imli, you are
course.
throwing away your future, right?
Mm.
I've worked so hard to get here,
Yeah, of course.
and this future is secured.
yeah, of
Like
course.
this,
And you're pretty young
yeah.
to get started as a professor.
So
also.
I
So
was
you-
secured. I'll have a job. I'll have a house.
You can still do music on the side.
Yeah, so like,
right? yeah.
everything was so practical.
Yeah.
And for me to like throw it away, and then I was already 1.5 year into my PhD. My proposal was accepted.
Yeah.
Everything was going in the right place.
Yeah.
My my PhD guide was excited about my topic, wanted to like, you
Yeah.
should really pursue this. So there were a lot of things that stopped me from taking this decision. But to be honest, I prayed about it for over a year, and I knew I had to make this. I woke up that day and I was like, I have to make this decision. And I think ever since I made this decision, there has been this peace in my heart, because I know that it was not just me who made this decision. So yeah, it's been. I mean, there are a lot of people. Even my friends are surprised to this. A lot of my friends don't know that I even left the job.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Like the last time we met, you were doing your PhD.
Yeah, and
like that, you were telling me about it.
yeah, and like I said, moon bitor na.
Yeah.
I find it hard to open up to, not find it hard, but then I take time to open up to people, like the people who are close to me.
And the way you even like, there's so many things. So back when I work with my clients, I
Yeah.
have this thing called discovery sessions where I ask a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Best thing for us,
Yes.
someone like us, right? Like, and I don't know, somehow I'm able to analyze things. Like just based on what you're saying itself, like everything just makes sense. How was your teaching experience? Just want to know about that.
Best.
Are you someone who like likes to just?
I love teaching. I'll be
And who are
honest.
your students? Like what age
College
group?
students,
Oh, okay.
from diploma till masters.
Okay.
I used to guide students who would write their thesis also. So for 2 years I did that. I think if I had made this decision 3 years back before
Yeah.
I started my teaching, I don't think I would be the person I am today, or I don't think I would be able to do it.
So good. So good.
So when I look back at it now, I have no regrets. I'm very happy I don't.
100%. I can tell, I can
I
see,
worked under a system.
yeah.
I worked under people I looked up to,
Yeah.
people who were way more experienced than
Yeah.
me, and then it built something in me. Like it was more than just teaching, right?
Yeah.
And then going to class, teaching from students. So
Yeah.
I felt like this was the right decision, right time for me to make that decision. If I decided to become a musician 3 years back, I don't think I would be here right now. I do not think I would have the capacity to handle whatever is coming at me right now. So I think that all this teaching created this discipline in me and strength in me that I would be able to do it.
Yeah.
So, and I've always loved teaching, right? When I was in college, ever since I gave my interview for college, I told that I would want to be a teacher one day, because I always grew up admiring teachers.
Your mom and dad.
Yeah,
also.
so
Makes sense.
I enjoy teaching to this day, and then that's why maybe when I write, I mean, I would not say I'm teaching, but then most of my songs are songs that I
Speaking to someone.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing.
and then these are things that I feel very strongly about,
Yeah.
and then I grew up admiring people like Bob Dylan, and like I will pass away soon, but then my songs will remain. And then the question that I've always asked myself is, IMLIAKUM, what are you going to leave behind?
So good.
Right? So the human being will go away, but the art remains. So maybe not today, maybe not in 5 years, but maybe 10 years down the line, there will be someone who will go through my songs and be like, this song really speaks to me right now.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think as artists, it is our responsibility, I would say, to leave something behind
Yeah.
that is significant,
Yeah.
or at least something of value. So
And that's what makes us human. Like
Yeah.
Throughout time, we have been passing down stories.
True.
Again, from visual art, like from like cave paintings
Yeah.
to everything, it's always been stories. It's always been something that has
Yes.
been passed on
Mm.
and has lived longer than everything else.
Yeah.
And that's the reason. One of the reasons why Jesus spoke in parables is also
Yes.
it also sticks to you, right? It's something that we
Yeah.
pass on. Now, that's so beautiful the way you say you had to go through this
Yes.
to be here, because same, right? Like I'm a huge believer of everything you do, every person you meet, every experience you have, good, bad, or the ugly, adds up to the person you're
True,
going to be in the
true,
future, right?
Yes.
Like, and that when you shared that, it really puts me to King David's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is one of my favorite things I share. Like, David, before he killed Goliath,
Mm-hmm.
he had to handle a bear and a lion before,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's said in like a few lines.
Yeah.
But that's so like, if I was David, I'd be mad because like imagine you fought a bear and a lion and they write it in just one line.
Yeah.
Like, you'd want to like a bit more. But like that itself shows that he had to go through that to even,
be
like,
ready for
and
Goliath.
I'm pretty sure personally it has done so much to him
Yes.
that competence equals
Yeah.
competence builds confidence. No, it's like that thing of like that has perhaps done a lot for him to face Goliath also. You know, so
Yeah.
same with me. Like I really believe that like every single thing, and that's at this stage also. Like I'm pretty young, but I'm of this belief that like if things work out, if things don't work out, like this is surrender to God. Like if it happens, it's Him. If it doesn't happen, it's still Him. Kind of a thing, right? Like, and just believing in His timing, and
True.
He just brings everything on, like in the perfect
I mean,
timing.
surrender is such an easy word to understand, but it's such a
do.
difficult thing to
Easier
do.
said than done.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
we all know what surrender is.
Yeah.
We all know what obedience is.
Yeah.
But to actually do it,
Hardest things.
it's the most difficult thing because the human mind is very fickle, right? Our heart is also very fickle. So there are so many things we want to control, and when things don't go our way,
Yeah.
we try our best to control it.
Yeah.
And when we can't, it's very difficult to surrender during the time.
Yeah.
But then these are simple words, but then very difficult to apply in life. And then I've to this day I fail many times. Like, even though I know I should be surrendering,
Yeah.
it's so difficult to surrender sometimes as well.
Yeah. The flesh and the body, the flesh and the spirit is always at the
Yeah. Constant
dark,
battle.
no?
Yeah.
And it always boils down to that only.
Yeah, yeah.
If you kind of simplify all your urges and all the tug of war, it's always one of those two.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about like throughout, and I'm pretty sure you're going to speak more about this as we go ahead as well. But throughout this time till now, you have spoken about a higher power, God, and like you've mentioned about you doing a whole like you're doing theology and all that. How's your journey? How did your journey with Jesus start?
Wow. This might get very dark and very deep also.
Very dark.
Yeah. Sometimes dark. I mean, I've lived a very troubled life, I would say. But I never, like I said, I've never been open about it to people, nor to my parents.
Yeah.
I've never liked people worrying about me. I've always been someone, I've always liked to have control, take care of myself. I would love to, I have always loved to be a person who would be there for my friends.
Yeah.
But
when it comes to you, you can.
Yeah, I find it very difficult to open up to people.
Yeah.
Not that I don't trust them, but it was
not you.
It's not me.
Yeah,
So
makes sense.
there were a lot of things that happened to me that I did not know why it happened. And when I was young, I think the only person I could talk to was God, right? And then I did not go to Him in humility. I went to Him in anger.
Yeah.
Because I was
Everything
angry.
starts with anger.
Yeah, because I was angry at Him, right?
Yeah,
Since I could not share this with people, so I was like, okay, let me share with
How
the
can you do
creator
this?
of the world. So I went to God in anger. So the reason there were a lot of things that not my whole life, but for a long period in my life, I struggled with addiction, different kinds, because life did not make sense to me, right? I was frustrated, angry. And the reason I wanted to study theology as well is like deep inside, I knew why I was studying. I really wanted to know if God existed or not.
The curious.
I was curious. So I was like, if me studying theology is how I find out whether God exists or not, let me study. So I decided to spend 5-6 years of my life trying to figure out if God was there. So I did not go there. I mean, I did not go there, I would say, with that conviction initially. I was angry. It was my anger that led me to seek God for all the wrong reasons initially. But the more I studied about Him, the more I spent time, I realized, wow, like, what am I even thinking, right? So that's how it started. So I got into it for all the wrong reasons, just like I got into music for all the wrong reasons. So most of the things that have happened in my life,
wrong things brought. I won't say you got into it for wrong reasons. Wrong things brought you there.
Yes.
But your pursuit of finding out of like all of these got you there, I guess. Yeah.
And I've always been I'm someone, when I'm wrong, I can admit I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I know how to swallow my pride and ego. I'm very stubborn, headstrong. But at the same time, when I'm wrong, I can say I'm wrong. So when I realized I was wrong, it broke me down. I mean, like, in a good way. I was like, what was I even thinking, right? Who am I to even be asking these questions?
Yeah.
So it has been a very complicated relationship for a very long time with me and God. I'm a very emotional person. I feel things too deeply. Sometimes not good. And I hurt a lot of people because of that as well. And because I feel things too deeply, sometimes the anger is also over exaggerated.
Yeah.
Towards
extremes again.
Yeah, there's extremes, yeah. So, but yeah, right now, I I failed many times. I have fallen back many times again and again. But the more I thought about it, I've always overcomplicated my relationship with God. Me, my mind, right? The human mind. I'm
Mm.
too curious, and so right now, I've simplified my faith to just obedience and faithfulness.
Yeah.
That's it. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, Imli, you're not someone who can.
It's in his hands.
Yeah, you're not someone who can handle so many things at once. You think too much,
Mm.
and then it was this complication that I brought into my faith that has like confused me for many years. So now, Prism last year, was it this year?
It was last year. Your
This
batch was
year,
this
this
year.
year,
This
yeah.
year. Yeah.
For the past 3 years, I've been thinking about joining Prism, but never really worked out because that's the time when my students would be having exams in the college.
Oh, makes
So,
sense.
I could never
Yeah.
the teacher in me would not allow me to go. I was like, how can I leave them 1 week before the exam, right? My
Just when they need you.
yeah, just when they want to ask me for suggestions. So this year I decided. Luckily, my syllabus was over by then. But then, so I asked for leave and I joined. I think Prism was a turning point in my life. The first day when I joined Prism, I joined late because I was somewhere else. Maybe after 2 days. The first day I joined, I was a little skeptical because this year's batch was a little younger. Most of my friends had already joined. I was the only one there. But then from the first day itself, I knew I was in the right place, right? And for the first time in my life, I felt like, oh, Ibli, you're not alone. Yeah, you think you're alone, and then maybe people have let me down in the past, but then there are people who are going to be there for you. And look at this; these are and the people that I did not expect to be there for me are the people who are like, nah, because like I did not know anyone. These are people. I'm like, how am I connect with these people? Like, and sometimes I come off as very rude because I keep things to myself, right?
And you put that out just to,
It's a wall
yeah.
to protect myself.
Yeah, exactly.
So I sometimes come across as someone who is arrogant, very, I do not have the most humble looking face, I would say. But this is a thing I've picked up over the year. Like it's like my protection. I guard myself. So, but then the first day of Prism, when I joined, everything fell into place,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It made sense to me. I was like, wow, like there was this peace in my heart that I had not experienced for a very, very long time. And then I think this was the peace I was looking for.
Yeah, and it's that obedience that leads to that peace, though.
Yeah.
It's simplified
Yes,
to that.
yeah.
That if you actually look at that now, and freedom in that peace.
Yes.
Right, like obedience leads to favor and freedom. And yeah, I saw you. Same, like the first day, I had gone new batch again, so I had gone to see Manokan. You were not there exactly.
Yeah,
right?
the first day, yeah.
I think you joined a couple of days later, and then
Third day, yeah.
I remember I didn't see you, but I heard you first.
Oh.
And it was so powerful because it was in the conference hall. And this is something I never told you, but I think you were lying down in front of the stage and you were singing, you were worshipping.
Oh, yeah.
There was a
Yeah,
worship session
spontaneous
happening.
moment.
And it was like, I
Yes.
was like, who's this person? Like at first, and I'm someone who I just it settles in my mind in the sense that I can recognize my friend's voice types. You get it? So I park my car and I'm coming up. I'm just trying to be curious. Who's this person singing? Kind of a thing. No, it's like wait, almost like Uncle Charlie Pinoy. No, I've done also, but like who's this? Now it's getting to me. No, I go up to see, but you're on the floor. I can't see you also. And I'm like, who's this guy? Who's this guy? It's so good. And like I'm impressed, and I'm also like, wait. Who? Like, I'm trying to just picture all the faces I saw on the first day. Like, who could be this person with this next level voice? Like, who's not only voice, but you're worshipping so honestly. Like, I could feel it, and I could feel the room. Like, and then I asked Prakriti. I was like, who's this? And she didn't know your name.
Yeah.
It's like, someone who came. It's like, who's this girl? And then I saw you, and I'm like, wow. And for me as well, like, the moment I saw you, I was just so blessed even to see you because not as a like I don't know there was just something when I saw you and it just felt so good to see you just be there and it was a surprise because often I think I knew you were going to join. I knew you were going to I made all the posters. I knew you were going to join, but I thought you were not going to join because I didn't see you the first day. You get it? So I think that was the thing that was going in my mind. I was like, wow, he's here, kind of a thing, no? And yeah, it was so good. And I don't know if you want to get into that, but if it's completely okay if you don't want to. but if you do want to, I really believe it will be a place of just impacting so many people. And I wouldn't want you to get into a wound that is not healed.
Yes.
Right? Like you can talk about it once it's a scar. So like, and it's a bad. So like, and again, if I have to start, like for me as well, like one of the biggest is pornography. Like
Okay.
I went to boarding school, and boarding school. So like the first, and it was from class 6 to 12. So it was like when I was very young, and like it was so normalized. You get me? Like,
It did not feel like a sin anymore.
Exactly. It just felt like
Everyone's doing it.
and it almost felt like it was wrong if you didn't.
You have to do it.
Yeah, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And it was like just this thing, and it was something that, again, as anything that the devil plans, it comes in without you knowing. Right? It just seeps into your life and it binds you in chains. And it's been something where it's been a struggle, not like initial, like kind of teenage. Once I got a little older. Without me knowing, again, once I got to know God, is when He kind of opens your eyes to like, wait, this is actually thing. And it's been a struggle, man. It's been a struggle for a lot of years, and it's just been something where I have, again, I would say overcome, but at the same time, it's there, it's looming.
Yes.
It's always like kind of, and that's where I also know that I always have to have God.
Yeah.
Like I always have to. Again, some of it is practical steps, right? Like making sure I make sure that I have everything. I follow every Instagram like Bible page ever, so that like I'm reminded by God. And
keep yourself in check.
This is I'll tell you something. This is back in 2018 when I went to Hong Kong as well. Again, freshly off of boarding school, right?
Okay.
I was a Christian, but because I was in boarding school, I wouldn't go to church all the time. Like it was in Assam. Like my hostel was in Assam Valley. So I didn't even know it was wrong. Right? Like it almost felt like it's just there. Like I knew like sex before marriage was wrong and all these things was wrong, but like watching it, I didn't know. Like, you watch it, half of it is in movies anyways, kind of a thing. You get it. Like it's so out there. It's almost so normalized. Yeah. So, but then I remember going to Hong Kong, and me going to Hong Kong was a huge step in my spiritual journey because I knew I was alone. Same thing. The only person I had was God. But it was truly there, you know. And I really got really close to God, and that's when I was also convicted, kind of knowing that like this is actually wrong. And when you know it's wrong, it's when the enemy tries harder. And like that's when you know how messed up you actually are, because when you're just doing it, you're just going with the flow, and like the moment you try to resist it, you're like, oh wait,
it's actually an addiction.
Your body is like
do it,
wanting it, you know. And it's then intentional steps, right? Like Bible app, notifications on, all, and it's crazy because the moment, sometimes this is now I'm talking about like then like I would see something that would trigger, and like I would go into opening my browser and boom, Bible app, boom. Like, wait,
don't do it.
Like, and then like it's also surrounding yourself with the right friends. True. Often, like
very important.
I have had like really close friends who, again, God centric. So suddenly again I'm almost in that route again, and then boom, they text me.
Yes.
Like and then it's almost so chemical in your mind that like, and the devil has put us in that place where you need something or the other trigger guna, which I do not. And my thing was I remember watching a sermon, and it was this thing of like the devil always has his, and this is very common, right? Like the playbook of the devil has been always the same. Is this temptation, sin, guilt, and shame. It always goes in this step, right? Like so it's this idea of like you're tempted, and when you commit the sin, he binds you with the guilt and the shame. But I remember watching, and I was struggling. I really wanted to get out of it. Like I used to watch YouTube videos on how to overcome, and all of these things, and but no one was talking about it. Like again, I knew like other pastors abroad and all talking about, but like no one. Who do I talk to about this? How do I? Who's this? And one of the things where the moment you fall into it, don't let the devil grip. Like go back to God. Yeah. Like even after like the moment you fall into it, like go back to God. And that has been one of the biggest things. And I'm just jumping around the thing because I also know that you're understanding all of this. Few weeks ago, my birthday, September, I remember calling our friends, Prism friends and all that, Uncle Tali himself, and again he doesn't know all of this, but he said something which he was speaking about the heart of David. Again, David is this common theme, but he was talking about how the heart of David was always tender, and is that idea of like the moment he committed adultery, also he ran back. He still had that place for God, and the devil always tries to the game that he plays is like, now you're distant, now you're a thing, and I don't know, just in a nutshell, wanted to also share that like even for me, it's one of the biggest things that it has also impacted. The moment I knew it was really bad was it just impacts how you see the world. You start losing emotions with friends. You start like seeing it, and like it's.
I think it's the guilt and shame that builds up. And then you just feel like you don't deserve any of this. So you distance yourself. You don't feel what people feel.
And it's the enemy's thoughts.
You feel bad about yourself. So I think.
And one thing I've also noticed is pornography is such, and this is something I want to talk a lot about. Not a lot, not all the time, but a lot in the podcast because. You want me to serve you?
No, it's fine.
Because people don't talk about it here, like in Nagaland, and like so many people I know.
It's a very taboo subject.
Exactly, on a personal level, kotak rare. But then like you can't really think because there's again that shame and all that.
True.
One of the reasons I lost my train of thought. I was going to say something, but I forgot. Just
because of the water.
Sorry. I think one of the reasons why I wanted to, I really want to talk about this is also because a lot of people go through it, and it's very actually a lot of people go through it, and it's one addiction that you cannot. The devil has done it in such a way that you cannot be open about it. Smoking, you can be like, it's such a proud thing to be like, I'm quitting smoking. Right? It's such a proud thing to be like, I used to drink. And people talk about it. It was pretty open. It's pretty common thing. But it's an addiction that's almost the same though. But it's bound with such shame. And like you belittle yourself so much in that you can't even like close. And then like it's such a well devised.
Maybe because it's an addiction that is done in secret.
Exactly.
Like smoking, drinking. I mean, like all bad addictions. 100%. But pornography is something you do it in secret, all alone. And I think the guilt that hits you, it's a little different. Because it's just you.
Exactly. Right? And it's hardest when it's your roto. The enemy attacks the hardest when you have nothing around you. And it makes you feel like you're the most distant also. Kind of a thing. But it just was a long kind of thing because like for me, I want to be talking about it a lot because it's a common thing, and I've had moments with God where it's always been highlighted also to be this thing where like God takes you through that to see that in someone else and kind of thing. So I see that with a lot of men. And it's something that also breaks marriages, relationships, and I've seen and again during my struggle and during my trying of getting out of it, I've seen a lot of places, man, where it's people have thought, okay, if I get a girlfriend, it'll be fine. If I'm married, it'll be fine. But then you read about all these things where they're married, they have kids, but they still can't get out of it. And some of it results in divorce and just gets them to. Because now you're in this like you're literally in chains, no? But I just wanted to say that, and like just on your part as well, like if you're open to, if you want to, if it's fine, but just within you mentioned addictions and stuff like that.
Maybe I'll just here and there.
Okay.
I don't know who'll be watching, so might be.
For sure.
But then thank you, Mung, for sharing. I mean, it takes a lot of courage to open up. It started off very simple, like everybody. I've never been a smoker. I hate smoking, but it started off as drinking.
Change go. Okay. Sure. You want anything else?
No, just water. Okay. So, I mean, it started very casual, the addiction, as in like peer pressure, I would say. Everyone was doing it, so I had to do it. So normalized. Started drinking, normal things. Never really affected it. I would not say it was an addiction initially. It was curiosity. I was very curious. I mean, I've seen everyone do it. Normalized. I'm like, okay, what does this feel like? So I tried it, but then the older I got, the worst thing I did was that I had a lot of emotional baggage, and I had not healed from it. And then I went to this looking for
your refuge, your escape.
So started with alcohol and all these things. Then I got into drugs, which was an accident. But then once you go into it, it's very difficult. So for about 2 or 3 years. I shared this while I was in Prism as well,
Yeah.
and then I've healed from it. So I don't have this shame and guilt in me.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, if when I look back at it, would I ever do it again? No.
course not.
Do I recommend this to anyone? No. But then, like,
Yeah.
I think I've healed from it. Not, I think I have healed from it.
Yeah.
It started as an accident. I was never curious about it. I never really wanted to get into it. But then cough syrup, pills. But I was also a functioning addict. It wasn't. You could not see it. If you
Yeah,
met
got
me,
it, got it,
you
got
would
it,
never know.
got it. So it's still in secret.
Because, like, I would not say I'm a smart person, but then
you could manage.
yeah, I know what I have to do. I know that I do not want to get in trouble, right? So why would I put myself out there to be
Yeah.
judged?
Yeah.
So I mean, I would judge myself silently, but then I would not want anyone to figure it out.
Yeah.
So I would function normally.
Yeah.
I mean, do everything I have to do, be a good student, be a good son, whatever. Nobody would know. But then it got to a point where I knew I was addicted, right? And then addiction is also very expensive. And then it was affecting a lot of ways, financially as well. So now that it's affecting me financially, I'm troubling my friends. Like, I'm not saying that I'm taking
The
drugs.
pattern.
Yeah. So initially it starts across as like maybe it just affects you, the individual. But once you get really into it,
Spills over.
it spills. And even though I always thought I had it in control, I think that's the problem with a lot of people who are addicted. You think you can control it. You think you're different. Yeah, these people became like that, but I will not be like that. Like, I'm smart, I'm educated, I'm going to figure it out, I'm going to keep it under control. But I think that's the trick that they will
You
plays.
only realize when you're in the bottom. No?
Yeah. And that's the trick that they will plays, right? You're like, it's okay, just try. You're going to be able to control this, right?
Yeah.
And once you realize it's already too late, and then you are affecting a lot of other people around you, even though maybe that's not your intention.
Yeah.
But then since they love and care for you,
Yeah.
and then so I hit
It's
that.
a byproduct of it.
Yeah.
This happens. Yeah.
So when I was going through this, when I say I was a functioning addict, my parents never knew, right? Nobody knew. Like, my close friends, maybe one or two. I started this with two of my close friends, and two of them nearly lost their life because of this addiction also. And then, but it never really, like, that's how deep I was inside the rabbit hole. Like, I'm seeing my friends getting affected, people I started with, but it's not hitting me yet.
Yeah.
It's not hitting me yet.
You're still blinded by
Yeah, I'm like, I'm looking for that next high, right? So, like, nothing else. There's no fear also.
What's that word? You justify.
Yeah,
it's
you're
giving
like,
yourself
yeah.
reasons that, "Ah, jauh, ikut
Medyo
lah."
tahan mo na parang ano, but
Yeah.
I'm different, I'll be able to do
Exactly,
it. So, like,
yeah.
that's how you convince yourself.
Yeah.
And I think, I do not remember exactly the date when I left it, but I remember when it happened very vividly. It started off with maybe one cough syrup, like I would have it for 2 days, like just break it up, and then one pill, two pill.
Or like your conscious thing of slowing it down. Bullshit.
No, it started like that.
Uh-huh.
Cough syrup.
Oh, it started like that.
Alap
Yeah.
khaili, initially your body,
yeah.
you like that high, right? But
Yeah,
the more you take,
Okay.
the more numb your body becomes,
Yeah.
the more you take. So by the time, the last time I had it, I remember I was taking about 2-3 bottles in one go, like cough syrup. And then
Man.
it started with one pill. And the last time I had the pills in my hand, I was
What pill is this?
just different kind of pills.
Okay.
Anything. So it started off with expensive pills. Now you're just getting over-the-counter
Anything
pills
that-
that combines with these things and gives you that high.
Yeah.
And then once you really want to get high,
Yeah.
you go looking for it, right? And then you know how to figure it out. So you ask questions. What do I combine? And you ask
You're
over.
very smart also. I've heard.
Yeah. You're like, oh, 2 plus 2 is 4. Mari dishe. Then the last time I remember I had 16 pills in my hand that day.
Bro.
And
I
then
don't even know what that means, but like...
the fact that if try holding 16 pills in your hand, you would know how much and I was supposed to take it, right? And then
you're here.
yeah, then the moment I was going to take it, I mean, back then it was a voice. Now when I look back, it was God speaking to me.
Yeah,
God, it was a very clear voice that said, Imli, you cannot take this. If you take this, you're not going to survive. Like, it was a very clear voice.
Yeah.
I remember. And I went out of my room and I threw it, like everything.
So good.
And ever since that day, it has never come back to me. So I'm getting goosebumps because I also don't, it's not me.
Exactly.
And I know people have struggled, relapsed again and again, and it's a difficult thing to do, right?
Yeah.
But I struggled after that as well.
Yeah.
I got into different addictions, but
Yeah.
the drug part never really came back to me. Like, once I threw it, it was like, it's gone.
Oh.
I've never been tempted ever since.
Oh.
And I don't even like the idea of like, the idea does not excite me. Sometimes your old addictions excite you. If it's been a long time, you justify yourself like, oh, I've not done it for a long time.
Moderation.
When you're like, oh, seems like fun. No, you remember the good times, right? And then like, see, I'm not going to lie to anyone, okay? Are drugs the right thing to do? No, but then does it make you feel good? Yes.
Yeah.
That's why people do it. I'm not going to say it does not initially it makes you feel good.
Yeah.
You feel,
but risk and reward.
yeah, you feel good, you forget everything. There's this euphoria inside of you. There's a reason why everyone's doing drugs. It makes you feel good. So I'm not going to lie, but then is it worth it? No. Because by the end of my second, third year, I had become so, what would I say? Like,
Dependent.
paranoid.
Oh, wow.
It started affecting me. Like, I would hear voices in my head. That's how you are forcing your body to function in a way it's not supposed to function. So I cannot differentiate between what's real and what's not real. I hear things, I see things. Like, and the problem with addiction is that you're always looking for that first high. The first high is the best high. Like the first time you do it.
Because you want to go back to how it felt.
Yes, and that's
you never get that.
You will never get it because
Your
the first
body
time
has
you
got
do it,
used to it.
your first time you do it, your body is so numb to it. So obviously you're going to, and then you feel good. Your body is relaxed. The reason why people get into
you go
addiction,
back to that because
you're always looking for that first high. So you always
makes sense.
The dose always increases, right? Because you have the same thing, but the second time does not hit you.
More, you think more will give you that same.
So that's when people really. That's what I figured for myself. I was like, why am I so addicted? I'm like, I'm still looking for that first high. The first time I took it, and then you never get it back because your body got used to it, and then you're never going to get it ever again. That's how people get addicted, I would say. But then I think, it was God who delivered me. It was not me. I've seen a lot of people struggle after this. There are times I've struggled with other addictions as well after that, obviously. But then that part, when it comes to the pills, it never really came back to me. And the thought of it does not excite me even a little bit. Like, I'm not ashamed of it because I've healed from it.
It's a battle scar.
Yeah. And I'm not saying this with pride in my heart. I'm not proud of what I've done. But I feel like if there's anybody out there who is struggling, if a person like me, this is what I tell my friends. If someone like me, who I felt I thought so small of myself, right? So little of myself. If someone like me can recover from this, right? Why can't you, right? I'm not the strongest person in the world. Like, I have a lot of limitations. But then, when maybe the reason I'm sharing this is because I feel like this is something we need to speak about now.
100%.
We have normalized, like you said earlier, 100%. Sin has become so normalized. Addiction has become normalized. Everything is normalized. It has become a part of pop culture, and it's cool to do it. If you don't do it, you're the weird one. So, but then, and I feel like a lot of people want to get out of this cycle, but they're not able to do it. And then maybe it's the shame and guilt as well. But then I just want to say that, like, it is possible. It is very much possible, right? And then, especially if you surrender. It was, I think deep inside, I knew I wanted to go back to God, right? One thing about me is that my whole life, even though I've said like I've been angry with God, I've said,
you knew He was God.
I've like I did not realize it back then. But when I think about it now, I was not saying the best of things to God also. But then one thing I realized was that no matter how angry I was always speaking to God.
That's so profound. Right? Because you were acknowledging Him though.
I did not know it.
But
I was like, are you there? Are you real? Do you even love me? But I was talking to Him. Like, I was not sharing this to people or looking for comfort or answer somewhere else. But I was going to God. Maybe in anger, not for the right reasons. But now when I look back at it, it's so funny. Like, I was still talking to God. Right? So, that was my journey. And then, it was God who delivered me. I give all glory to Him. It is not my doing because I know people who are struggling, who have struggled. My friends, my people I know. It's a very difficult thing to recover from. So I consider myself very lucky, I would say. A lot of people did not have the same recovery, journey as me.
Ended wrong.
Your
friends.
So for me, it was just luckily all my the people that I was speaking about, they've also found God.
So good.
They're also no longer there. I'm so happy. But then
it's sad and it's scary. It's scary because like you see it, and the moment it gets tricky, because that leads to another. And to your point, that's so for me. I didn't even look at it that way when you say people are always looking for that first high. Another way people do it is I've seen this with alcohol. Like I don't drink. I've never done it, but like one of the reasons why I don't do it is I've seen people always go like, I've had this much the last time. Let me have one more this time. I can do it like the
Maybe I need one more.
confidence in yourself,
Yes,
right?
yes.
I can do the same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I won't fall into it. It's fine. But then next thing you know, they're fallen down into this whole
Yes.
like pit of
Mm.
the way they can't get out of.
True.
No? So yeah, it destroys. It destroys to your point. Like it starts with yourself, but it goes on to there's a reason why the devil does it. No.
Yeah.
It gets you away. It gets you like it's this whole thing, and he's been doing this throughout generation. But yeah, on a I would say lighter note, when did you start wearing your hat?
When? It started off because of laziness. Okay, many people think
The hair, na?
I
People
hate
don't do that?
I hate making my hair. Yeah. No, people think this is a style statement. I'm happy it has become synonymous with me now.
Yeah.
But then initially I cannot keep short hair because I have a very big head. It looks funny. So I keep long hair nah. But the problem is I hate making my hair. And it takes a lot of time. My hair is very what would I say? Very silky, which is a blessing and a curse, I guess. So yeah, it takes a lot of time for me to fix it.
Yeah.
And I hate making my hair. So that's
I think
when
I've never seen you without hat.
yeah. I mean I do not wear my hat every day. And I'll tell you another reason also.
I may have. I don't know.
Yeah. I think we only meet outside nah. Then
Yeah.
if I'm performing or if I'm
But I
doing
think Prism time. I think I've seen you.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
I- So it started because of that, and then so it became like people thought I was doing it for style. I'm like, oh, something is here, right? Now when did when people think of IMLIAKUM hat, when people think of the electrical kit hat, and then at the same time, I think there's a
iconic.
sense of confidence I feel when I wear this. Like
Exactly. Yeah.
I say this jokingly to my friends, but then when I'm not without the hat, I'm,
Superhero cape.
yeah. So without the hat, I'm IMLIAKUM AIER. The shy, timid fellow.
Yeah.
When I put on the hat, I become the electrical kid. Like
So
the
good.
person who is not afraid, the
So
person
good.
who is willing to talk.
Yeah.
So I think, whatever works for you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So-
And it's true. It's real. This thing is so real because
Yeah.
I was also earlier when you were talking about this whole thing of like you're timid and all that, but like on stage you can express.
Yes.
And this you've seen it in a lot of places, right? Like a lot of comedians, actors, they're the same thing. Like they can switch.
Backstage, they're
Yeah.
shy, they hate talking to people,
Yeah.
but the moment they're on stage,
Yeah, and like often it's that I would say again back in the day like girls would watch the Hannah Montana thing, right? Like the blonde
Mhm.
hair, and then all of a
Wick,
sudden she's Hannah Montana kind
Yeah.
of a thing. Like
Yeah.
I think it's the same thing, and it's something that is to the earlier thing that physical. Our brain is just how we control our brain.
True,
You know? It's
true,
like this physical thing that we do that convinces our brain that now
Yes.
that make
Yeah.
make that change. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean that's the reason why we have outfits, no, like formal. We feel
Yes.
a little different when we're formal.
Yeah,
we feel
yeah,
a
yeah.
little bit more poised.
True.
Shorts make you feel a bit more casual. You
Yeah.
sit differently and all that stuff. But yeah, that's so iconic. Tell me about like your so again you said your hat, like was it always this hat?
No, I have a lot of hats. But then this is my current favorite hat right now.
Like how long has it been? Like when was it that click you said there's something here while I think?
When did I start this? I don't remember exactly, but then I think I had my band,
Yeah.
right? 2013-14ish.
Yeah.
Then I went for my studies.
Yeah.
So I disbanded the band.
Yeah.
I was like, you don't have to wait for me for so long.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
do whatever you have to do.
Yeah.
That's when I became the singer-songwriter, Dancing in the Capital, Message from the Hills. Because I was alone, so I could write songs on my own.
Yeah.
And then I decided to come back with my band 2000, I don't know, before COVID.
Brought the hat.
Yeah, that's when I was like, no, that's when I started wearing the hat because I was lazy. But
Yeah.
when people were like, oh, Imli, hat, then I was like, oh, there's something here.
Yeah.
So like, it's organically happening.
Yeah.
This image is being stuck in your mind. So like, why would I not take advantage of that, right?
Yeah.
So that's when I was like, okay, I think there's something there. So
What about the mustache?
the mustaches, I grew it, I don't know.
Has it always been there?
No, not when I was a baby.
No. Shit. Of course.
No, college.
Yeah.
And
No,
then-
but like, was it also like an iconic? Like you realize
Never
more
really
like a
put
style.
nothing. Just it just grew, and then I felt too lazy to cut it. And now I cannot.
Stems from anger or laziness.
Yeah.
from
Now I cannot imagine myself without the mustache.
Yeah.
I mean, so I've never really
Does it grow elsewhere?
here
It's one of those.
a lot. I shave every day,
Yeah.
but not here. Maybe one day, hopefully. I would love to keep.
One
I would
imagine randomly it starts coming out.
by the end of the podcast, beard. I mean, I would love to grow a beard one day. I mean,
Yeah. It's the ones that don't have it that want to.
that's
Yeah.
life, na. Keen na yun to pisar ito. So we should learn to be grateful.
Yeah.
Thank you for the mustache.
Where did you said you left? Where did you go for your studies? You said you left.
Oh, for my theological studies.
So you went somewhere else?
Yeah. I studied in my bachelor's. I did in Mokchong. Then I went to Johar, Assam.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so-
Nice. Do you travel? Are you traveling? Do you like traveling?
I don't know. Yeah, that's something I ask myself. Like because usually when I travel, it's only for work.
Yeah.
So I've never.
But do you enjoy that? Like, do you enjoy the drive?
Yeah. I mean,
Going
there are
places.
times I drive all the way to
It's
Kohima.
cathartic, na?
Yeah, like there are times I come out. I mean, my friends know like it's a joke. Sometimes I come out from my home,
Just to drive.
no, just to go out to buy something
Yeah.
to the
Very
market in Kariba. So there, before I know it, Kohima pong jiji siya. And then there was this joke that say, oh, when because there was one time I went out to buy a half pen because it was very hot.
Yeah.
So half pen kinuha siya, I reached Kohima. So to this day, my friends are like, you went to buy half pen again. So I just drive. Then I reach Chubu. Then I reach Mitsipima. Before I know it, I'm in Kohima. Then I just sit there, come back again. So like,
Are you one of those people that like, you know, you gotta stop here, but just because you want to keep the momentum, you don't stop?
I think so. I don't.
Even I do that. Like I do that all the time. Like I feel
Yeah.
like I have to stop here because my mom told me to buy this thing. I'm like, Gary, stop Kulibunda.
And yeah, no, true. Once I start driving, I hate stopping.
The flow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I will do everything I have to do when I stop once.
Yeah, that. Ek bar rukiye na,
Ek bar,
so
so I'm like-
and you want to get to point A to
So
point
I will
B.
go to a place that has everything. Like, oh, come make just do everything there. And once I sit,
Back home.
gone. Like, I'm just wherever I have to go.
Yeah.
The only time I stop my car is when I reach home. That's it. Yeah.
I was gonna ask you one more thing, but I completely forgot again. I should start taking notes. But anyways, how is again? You said the way you say it, all of these decisions of going to do theology and all that stuff seem like more of like your decisions.
Yes.
Parents have always been supportive of what you wanted.
Yeah, I think
Such a
so.
blessing, no?
Such a blessing. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we have had a lot of
Yeah,
things that we
I
don't.
think you guys talk a lot. Do you guys talk a lot? Conversations or how?
Yeah, I would not say we don't talk, but I won't say we sit and talk all the time also.
Yeah,
because we are used. My parents were always traveling, like for work, preaching,
okay,
whatever,
okay.
and maybe
Yeah,
going around. So
Yeah.
we're used to being alone.
Okay.
We are used to being in our own bubble and like just.
Okay,
But then when
yeah.
we have to talk, we talk. Like
Yeah.
we are not afraid to share opinions with one another, right?
Yeah.
If I feel something, I
So
if
the
they-
thing is open for
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
to-
there's
because
like-
a lot of families don't, right?
Yes,
like,
yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, if I have to tell something to my parents or my dad, mom, I just openly just talk about them. If they have to
Yeah.
tell me something, it's very open. So, like I said, I think I know I'm a stubborn person,
yeah,
and stubbornness sometimes is a blessing,
Yeah.
sometimes is a curse as well.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
when I don't know how to control it,
yeah,
it affects me, people.
yeah.
But when
That's where Christ comes.
when
in, no?
when stubbornness comes
Yeah.
for the right reasons,
Yeah.
then it helps me as well.
Same. Like I happened last night. My dad. I don't know if you know about my story, but like my dad almost passed away in 2020. Like he had like this whole
Yes,
thing.
I heard.
So since then I always check his blood pressure every night,
Mhm.
and whenever it's high, I give them this I give him this concoction of like lemon and all these things to like kind of decrease
Pressure,
at least
yeah.
thing lah. And he hates it. And he hates it so much. Like even last night his pressure was a bit high. I was like.
You
From
have
the
to.
moment he saw I was pouring water,
Yeah.
he was like, no. But then, like, it's those things where like you're stubborn for a good reason.
Yeah.
No matter if I fight, I'll fight to give you
Yeah.
this thing, kind of a thing, no?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's good when you're stubborn for. It's one of those things where
Yeah.
it's a character trait. Are you an intro? I think you're an introvert.
I love being alone, but when I have to talk, I'll talk.
Okay,
But in a-
what is that?
I mean, if it was up to me, I would love just being left by myself.
Huh?
I love being alone.
Yeah.
At the same time, if I have to, I mean, like, I know that we live in a world where I have to communicate,
Yeah.
talk, and then, like, I mean,
Yeah.
that's how I've met a lot of friends also. So I enjoy talking to my friends. But when I'm in a room with new people,
Yeah.
I take time.
Setback.
I can be very quiet. Like when my friends will be like, IMLIAKUM is never quiet because like I'm comfortable with them. But then when I meet new people, it takes a lot of time for me. Like, it takes time for me to trust someone.
Makes
Before,
sense.
maybe I'm more open now.
Yeah.
But then I've always been very skeptical. When I was in college also, I hardly made friends, right? In school, I had friends because
You had to.
school. So we are young,
Yeah.
don't know. So I'm luckily they're still my friends today. When I was in college, in 3 years I met one friend.
Yeah.
He was, I mean, like, I know people, I know everyone.
Yeah.
My classmates, they know me,
Yeah.
but I've never used the word friend lightly
Makes
because
sense.
I'm a very loyal friend.
Mm.
Like, I will be there for my friend. If I say I'm your friend, I'm going to be there for you, and that's what I expect. And then when I don't get it, so I don't like to use the term friend.
I think you also don't like to be disappointed, I guess.
Yeah. Because
Someone who doesn't.
I know I would do it for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, it's unfair that you expect that from people,
Yeah.
but then if I'm ready to give it to you, I expect you to be there for me.
And based on all that you shared also about like you putting that wall and all
Yeah,
these
yeah,
things,
yeah.
it's just this thing of like maybe you have been disappointed at some point of your life of
Yeah,
like some
yeah.
people and you don't want to experience that.
So I'm
really
like-
sucks so much and everything, right?
Yeah, so I've always, maybe that's the reason why I've always been like, okay, I have to do it myself. I'll figure it out myself.
Yeah.
So
You have more confidence.
I've,
in that.
yeah, so I've always eventually found a way to
Yeah.
figure things out.
Yeah. Do you micromanage? Are you a perfectionist?
In a lot of ways, yes.
Tell me your song process. Like how does that work? Like let's say, of course, everything is different.
Yeah.
But have you found like a way where it's like a system
Yes.
at this point?
There has to be a
Practice.
system.
Yeah.
I mean, creativity and art. I mean, people think of it as very subjective, but then I feel like there has to be a system in place. It
Yeah.
cannot be always so abstract and subjective.
I
There,
think especially if you're doing it for so long, yeah.
yeah, and especially if you're doing it professionally.
For
I
work.
mean,
Yeah.
if you're making a living out of creative
You
output,
have to.
you need to have a system in place. You need to know how your mind works.
Yeah.
You need to know what gets you going.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like, that's something I was sharing to my friend as well. Like, so I think I have a system in place when it comes to writing.
Okay.
It's always guitar. Either two ways. Either I see something, a phrase that sticks with me, and then I'm like, okay, I have to write something on this. I don't know what
do
it
you,
means.
Do you notes app full of notes app points,
No.
lines and all?
When I sit, I just write it once.
So you store all these
Yeah,
phrases.
yeah.
in your
Like,
mind.
if I have something.
Okay.
So when I was in college, I saw a book called The Empire of the Soul.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what it means. I never, no, I didn't even read the book, right? But I was in the library, and I was like, wow, catchy name. It stayed with me for over a year,
Yeah.
and then I finally wrote a song called The
Yeah.
Empire of the Soul. So there are things like that. I went on a vacation, Cherrapunchi. I went to a restaurant. It was called BOATS, based on a true story.
Okay.
I mean, I have not written a song on that, but it's still stuck.
Oh, nice.
Like boots
Yeah.
based on a true story. So like I was like, ooh,
Those creative seeds.
yeah.
Like Brandon Lake called it creative seeds.
Mm.
Like storing your creative
Yes.
seeds in your mind
So
and stemming something out of it.
yeah, so I don't forget things when I see, like, I'm
Sticks.
especially visually.
Photographic memory?
Yeah, I
Photographic
would say.
memory?
Yeah, I remember, like, obviously I don't remember everything,
No shit.
but once I like something,
Yeah.
it sticks even forever. Like, I would know even after 8-9 years. Sometimes you're crossing a road like journey, and then like
Oh, wow.
I remember seeing this, so I know it's here. Like, so it sticks with me.
Yeah.
So for me, when it comes to writing, I have a system in place now. I mean, I've developed this because over the years,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I know what works for me. I know
Yeah.
what doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
So either it's a phrase or a visual that sticks with me,
Uh-huh.
or it's an experience. Most of the times it's an experience. I don't know what I'm going to write about, but I know that experience is going to give birth to something, right? And then, so usually I sit with my guitar, and then, like I said, I'm not used to playing other people's songs. So every time I play, I always want to write something. So my phone is filled with recordings, like la la la's, like very bad, like 200, 300, 20 seconds, 10 seconds, sometimes even 4 minutes.
That's your your
Yeah.
storage of creative
Yeah, so I
seeds.
just keep it, and then I just keep it, and I don't go back to it.
Okay.
Yeah, I keep it, and then, because for me, I'm someone, once I sit down to write, I write.
Hmm?
So if I know I'm not ready to write, I do not write. I don't force myself to.
You have to same. Like Dimakte, I spend as much time as possible
Ase.
to kind of
Oh,
do
yeah.
it. But then are you efficient when you do it?
Yeah.
Like you have that it's so ready in your mind.
Yeah.
That when you sit down, you're
Because you have spent time thinking
like
about
exactly
it.
the work before the work.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I know when I'm ready.
Yeah.
Like, it's there,
Yeah.
but I know I'm not ready to write this right now.
Makes
So I just keep on thinking. When I have to, I can write 5-6 songs in a day also if I have to. Like, because because I've been writing for so long, and then I've been thinking. I mean, it's difficult to explain for people who do not write.
Sufficient. You're
Yeah.
sufficient. Yeah.
So usually it starts with a melody, and I don't know which melody is going to go into which
Yeah.
theme, but one day when I'm ready, I'm like, oh, this melody will. So I go back to my recordings. Obviously I do not remember all the melodies, so I go back to it, listen to it. I'm like, oh, this melody will suit here. Then now that I'm ready,
Yeah.
and once I write, I don't know if it's a good habit or bad habit. I do not like, once I write, it's done. I don't like
In
going.
one go. In
Yeah.
one go.
Like, I mean, I don't like to go back
You don't
and
edit it.
I try not to. Like, I try to be as organic as possible with the words I write.
So good, man.
So sometimes there are times when I've written Dancing in the Capital was written in about 10 minutes. Example. There's a song I've written. It's one of my favorite songs. It's called Whispers in the Air. It's been 8 or 9 years. I've not finished it. Half. Like, I cannot write it.
About this
Yeah, before I think, Prism also I shared. So there's certain songs like that. I feel like I'll finish it one day.
Yeah.
But every time I sit down to write, I know I'm not ready for it. So I've written one verse, one chorus. It's been over 8 years. It doesn't come to me. So
You'll know when it's right.
yeah, I think so. Hopefully. So it works like that. I need a melody or a theme
Yeah.
or something sticks with me, either visuals or something. With my band also,
Yeah.
I write the same way, but I love singing as a solo artist. But I've always enjoyed working with people.
Yeah.
So my heart is with my band.
Yeah.
Like IMLIAKUM AIER is the singer-songwriter that would talk about maybe the deepest parts of my souls.
Yeah.
The electric cool kit, maybe here and there, but then that's where I'm more creative as a musician. That's where my creativity as a musician comes out. So there are times I write songs, but I'm already thinking about what I want the song to sound like. Like the drummer, I'm not going to tell them what to do because
It's the freedom.
and then they're in the band because I trust them, and but then I have a rough idea about, okay, this is how the bass is going to go drum. So I think I'm so used to taking the whole package to them, and then I explain it to them, and obviously
It's a system. Again.
and they make it better. So because it's 4 minds are better than like one, right? So when it's just me in my bubble. But when I take it to them, they make the song so much bigger than what I mean. And I've always liked teamwork.
Yeah.
I love working with people.
Which is funny because you say you're also that person that doesn't like.
Yeah.
You like to be alone.
Yes.
All of these
But
things.
when it comes to music,
Work. But again, creative mind, right? Like
Yeah.
just the brainstorming sessions and just passing ideas around and
I love working with people who think the same way, as in like.
wavelength.
So when I work with them, I'm like, wow, I never thought about it. Like I bring a song to them, but then they make it so much bigger.
But it's also because they're now enhancing.
Yeah.
They're. I bet you'll be annoyed if they come in the middle of your writing session and then like be like,
Yeah.
"Change this." I guess because you have done your work
Yes.
and you're presenting something and they're like, "Idu uppadiki halivulu unze."
Wait, what tell you?
I think
But I'm open to. I don't listen to everyone. Like I said, I'm stubborn. But then
Exactly,
my band members I listen to because I know they mean the best for me, right?
exactly. You've had that.
Yeah. But then
You
one
also-
thing is, luckily they also never interrupt me. Like they wait for me to bring a song.
Yeah.
Because that's how I work.
Yeah.
I have to finish it first.
Yeah.
If then I take it to them.
Yeah.
Then obviously the song that I started with does not end that way. By the time we work,
course.
it becomes better.
Yeah,
I'm like, wow. But then like when I write initially, I have to be alone. I cannot work with I love working alone, thinking.
Yeah.
I make all my mistakes when I'm alone.
Yeah.
When I bring it to them, it's more refined.
Yeah. 100%.
So I think for me that's the system I work with. But then I would like to say this to anybody listening, like if you're a songwriter or an artist, it does not mean this is the only way you write
Of
a song.
course.
Right?
Yeah,
There's your mind works differently. So I've always hated the idea that you can put since we're talking about songwriting in a box. You cannot put songwriting in a box or
It's an
art.
It's an art.
Yeah, you
They
cannot
also
put art
say
in a
that
box,
it
nah?
is-
Yeah, you cannot
You're
put
deep thinking,
creativity,
I was
creativity or art in a box.
Yeah.
So it works for me because I've tried a lot of different methods, but I know it works for me. So that's how I write.
Yeah.
But then it might not work the same for you.
Yeah.
But then until you find what works for you, maybe you can follow other people's patterns. The people who have already tried it. And the more you write, like people ask me, how do you become a songwriter? How do you become good? I'm like, keep on writing, keep on doing it, keep on doing it.
It's
Yeah.
reps.
Yeah. So until you figure if you do not know what works for you, maybe follow someone you look up to, follow their pattern, try it, and then eventually as you get better, you'll be like, okay, this works for me, this does not work for me. You modify it to your liking, and it works. So like,
And I'm a huge believer of that, like copying the masters,
yeah.
not for the sake of stealing,
Yes.
but in your practice, it's so important because back like in I went to an art school, right, like creative design school. So we had this course called History to Graphic Design.
Okay.
We were made to copy like
Yes.
exactly Kuriguna. But in that, you're not just copying though. You're now putting yourself in the place of like the process of like how again, but then you're doing something. The final product is copied, but in that you're developing your own style again.
Yes.
Because wait, you see the things that you didn't really see, the small thing, and then again, you start appreciating more because wait, I'm doing this on my laptop. They had to do it with like pen and paper and stuff like that. You get it? Like so, it's such a huge advice that you're giving is like if you don't have a place to start, look at the ones that you resonate to the most and like see how they do it. And now there's internet also, no?
Yeah,
Yes,
that's why I know.
Google.
I mean, the world is in your hands.
Exactly.
I mean,
literally.
we have no we have no reasons to be lazy now. But it's a very fine line. Like, if you're not careful, you'll become a copy paste of that person.
Yeah. Because it's so convenient.
Yeah, it's because it's easy. They've laid down. So it's a very fine line. But for me, I love Bob Dylan. I've looked up to him as a songwriter.
Yeah.
So that's I love the way he writes. Imagery, very big words. Like your mind just explodes with the visuals he creates. So I've always wanted to write songs like that. But then one thing I did, maybe I'll share this to people as well. Like, be intentional even when you're following someone. And then I think we should learn how to study. Like, don't just copy, but study what, like, why are they doing this? Like, why did they use this word instead of this? So, like, when you study an artist, or for example, since I'm a musician, like, we listen to songs, but how many of you have sat down and actually studied the song?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So, because learning a song is also very different. When you're learning, you want to play it as it is. But when you sit down to study a song, you're thinking about how does all of this work together.
Breaking it down.
Then, if you have never tried it, if you tried, you will see that it's very different from listening to a song or learning a song. So I think you find someone you look up to, but you try to study it as well. Why is this?
And it's the same thing, like once you have done it for so many years, you start, like when I see a poster, I know, like I see the little things again. Like for you also, when you're you
like,
kind of,
because you've done it for so long.
Almost default to that place of analysis, which you've done it so much,
which is not good sometimes. It drops us of the joy. Sometimes it robs us of the joy of truly appreciating.
I understand.
But then I think
same. I'm the biggest critic when you go to art galleries. I cannot enjoy art anymore because now default mode is like, how could they make this better? like I would do. But again, that's also if you are in the craft, that's actually how it should, I guess. Because
as long as it benefits. That's why. If you're not doing this with the intention to mock people, as long as you are being critical with the intention to improve yourself, and then you also love them, and so you're not. It's not coming from a place of hate or jealousy. It's coming from a place of because you want them to be better. And I mean, if you're able to give it, you should be able to take it as well, right?
Exactly.
So I do not critique people. Like for me, like I mean, my friends, I will tell them. Why?
But you need permission though.
Like people I'm close with, I'll be telling. I think you can rework this, and when people tell me, can you study my song and explain? I'm like, are you sure? Because once you give me this permission, I'm going to tell you the truth, nah. But then I don't go around critiquing people on the internet.
No, that's bad.
That's not in me.
You need, and then that's actually not good. Because you don't have the permission to. You at least need that permission to be like able to do that. I
mean, like I said, because art works very differently for everyone. And
like,
just because it does not resonate with you, does not mean it's not going to resonate with other people as well.
Because like art, for me, when we were learning, this is such an interesting topic because we're kind of talking from like a design and art, visual art perspective and like music. Because early on, I was spot with this idea of like, and then I have to battle with that as well because I was doing art where I was expressing, and then now I was doing design which was impressing. One is subjective, one is objective.
Yes.
Like a logo, it's not me expressing though.
Yes.
A logo is making sure it's functional, that someone buys this product, right? Like a brand. So I have to have this objective checklist of things which I have to follow to make sure it converts. Whereas now me doing art, again, I don't know where it is. I think we're repainting. I'll show you my dad and my dad's portrait that I made. That's a full expression of how I do it, and I don't do art anymore. I do it only when I want to. And when because there's so much of my like everything I'm pouring into it at that season of my life, kind of a thing. No, so that's a very important point. Like so, art you cannot really critique though.
True.
If it's again, if it has a purpose of conversion, you can. Right. Like, and again, I think when you get permission to do art is more of like, again, you're an artist. You're such an artist because of, and art is not just the final product that you see. Art is your whole life. Is that decision to use that word, and that doesn't come usually. And okay, this is again we're going deep into this, but as you have given advice, one of the things that I give advice to other people is the same thing. Like, why did this person do this? But one of the best things that I've learned for myself is I go back to my own work, and then I ask. Like sometimes, so logo design. The first step of logo design is this thing called I present directions. Where I give them like 3 directions. but each direction is usually like hundreds of sketches.
Okay.
And like I boil down the best to give them now. Usually what I do is I start from A and I'm just like drawing and I go to this flow. I'm not even thinking. And then after I finish it, I look back and I ask myself, why did I do this? That's so profound because and even my artwork, sometimes like when I'm doing my art, like I go back to my old work and I'm like, why did I make this? And then I go like, oh wait, I used this type of handwriting because back in class 5, I saw my friend write like this. And like you open yourself up to so many places in your own life.
Yes.
Because our brain is subconscious though.
True.
There's probably a reason why you chose this word other than this word. Because maybe in class 7, your teacher told you, wait,
subconsciously, maybe it got stuck.
Yeah, and you become a better version and that's the thing we're talking about. Like that's the thing that will make you different from copying. Because now you're finding your own self within your work, you know, and like I think that's very, very important to be able to bring your authentic self in every single thing you do. Yeah.
Totally.
Recall yun na? Lasik taro after this, ne? But it's okay. What's Snap? Ready? He called you Supendo that day. Ang lalam Snap.
Kunra?
Ang lalam ko tagi siya Supendo.
Who? You?
He called him
stupid.
Really, so we were talking about work and like kind of
creative process
and all. I remember you in Prism. You were sharing Dancing in the Capitals kind of background, backstory, which I'm sure a lot of people are curious about as well. If you want to share, but one thing that you used in that, and as you shared, one of my favorite words, you used the word juxtaposition, that kind of like contrasting thing of like music versus your words.
Yes.
How intentional are you? Like how
very intentional.
Yeah, exactly. Can you tell?
I mean, maybe I picked that up from Bob Dylan. Dylan, like his choice of words, like he would use the word lightning to express love. Example. I'm sure he hasn't, but then like something like that, right? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. I'm like, what does that mean, right? How many times would you see a cannonball fly? I'm like, what? Like, so I've always been intrigued by the juxtaposition of words, emotions, colors, black and white, like extremes. So Dancing in the Capitol is a very sad song, and a lot of people think it's like a happy song because I intentionally made it very happy. But then I like when you find the balance between the two. I think it's a very beautiful thing. And then I have a song called The Rainbow. People think it's a happy song, but then it's a song about suicide. It's a song like not suicide, but giving up on life. I mean, but I decided to use when you think of the rainbow, it's a very beautiful thing, right? So I've always been very intrigued by those things, like trying to find a balance between the two.
And maybe this is even another podcast together for like writing, which I would love to have with getting into the depths of writing. Because I'm a creative director for like multiple companies, and one of the things we do a lot of blog writing. And one of the things I do especially is we do a lot of ads. So one of the most important things is to capture their attention in like one line.
Yes.
So like it's even harder to do that kind of refined
so difficult.
writing. And that's copywriting, right? Like kind of, and one of the biggest things we try to do is use words that are imagery that you can try to like, or phrases that get people to imagine. One thing I've noticed about your songs is you do that in every single line, and it's so beautiful. And maybe that's also one of the reasons why we can imagine. And then you take people. Toka does that beautifully.
Yeah, very beautiful.
Like Toka,
she's very visual in her writing.
Takes us to a place.
Yes.
Like literally,
it transcends you. Like it takes you there.
Exactly, and because it's so visual, like it's not visual, but it's visual, right? Like you don't need to. And sometimes even like I think about like those songs are the songs that you don't need a music video. It's actually the ones where like it's enough, and it's a gift to the people to imagine for their own kind of a thing. Like it's one of those things where like movies are disappointments to book readers kind of a thing.
Yeah,
right?
because
they're already. Yeah.
I think the thing about words is that you have the freedom to think whatever you want.
It's theirs now.
Yeah. So that's what I used to say when I used to write songs. Like I would write the songs, and people are like, what is this song about? I never really explained my song. That's why people have different interpretations of Dancing in the Capitol.
Wonderful.
Some people think it's a song about Kohima. It's fine. Okay, but then
Which is the most common, I guess.
But then I wrote this for like the whole what was the thing that demonetization thing was happening. So, but then I'm like, I'm happy you have this interpretation. Like it makes the song bigger than what
it was.
Yeah,
bigger than you.
Because I wrote this from my perspective.
Yeah.
But when you give it out to the world, you think, and then
it takes its own.
Yeah, and it's like a blessing when you hear it. When you hear different interpretation, I'm like, wow, I never thought about it in that way. Nah? Yeah. So like you were saying, movies are like a disappointment for people who read books, because like when you're reading a book, you have created this world for you, and nobody else has this world.
Exactly.
But when you see a movie, everybody has to think the same way, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that's the reason why people get disappointed when they watch
Yeah.
movies also. Yeah. So,
Yeah, and just on that note, like, is that idea of giving it to the people to build. John Mayer talks about it. He always, like, not always, like, whenever he writes a song about a girl, he never mentions who it is, or he never talks about the story. Same thing with you, like,
Yeah.
he never explains it because he wants someone else to imagine
Yeah.
their person there and all of those things. No? And it's that wonderful thing of, like, giving it to, which I also think you don't do much music videos. No?
Yeah, we're making now like
Essentially,
Icha Buna, December de Una. We came up with a new music video just some months back with
Yeah.
the band. We're going to shoot one.
Are you planning to put it out at the same time as a song?
The music video and the song? Yeah.
Yeah, which I don't understand. Why do you guys do this? Because you see the best artists in the right. This is one problem I have with Naga artists. Okay, why are you doing this? You're not letting the people. The same thing we talked about. Again, not kind of thing, but like I have this thing that I was sharing this with Coco, with KL Pame also. Is this thing of like abdominals as well. Like Bieber doesn't do this. Like they actually let a song go for a year or two, and then they come up with a music video.
True.
Why wouldn't you want a song to have a second wind or a second wave? And also the same point, right? Like you're giving it to the people for them to. You're boxing it into. Which again, maybe how do you feel with at least what I feel is Naga artists, and I really don't think you're falling into that. But a lot of Naga artists have, when I say artists, musicians, have fallen into this trap of this checklist of things they have to put out when they're putting out a song.
There's a system in place.
But it's again.
Yeah. I mean, not everything needs. Yeah, you cannot box.
It's now you're commoditizing your work though.
True.
And again, it could be because it has been a system where okay, you're supporting your local videographer, but again, do you need to? You know, like I honestly am interested to see one or two people who is like really finding a different way to put up a song. Like your song, like Dancing in the Capital, when you told us about it, it's such an old song.
I've never made a video.
But it's such. When did you make the song?
I forgot. When I was in college, 2000. I don't know, 6, 17, 18. I forgot.
But like I heard that like way years later.
Yeah.
Right? Like it almost had this. I don't know if you. I think you told me about it. It had this resurgence
after
a certain point, after years of thing. Like it carries its own tone, right? And maybe if you even made a music video about it, it could have
maybe
thumped so many things.
But it never really crossed my mind. Also, yeah.
Right?
Someone else made a video for that song, like a lyric video, and that video has more views than.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the beauty of making art breathe. When you make it breathe, you just surrender it and then you let it breathe and you
just
take.
you
let it take its course.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one approach.
Yeah.
Like, so I completely agree with you when you say that as well.
Yeah. Because one of the things that I really do not want Naga artists, because everyone's so talented. Everyone's so like, as much as I'm a designer and I appreciate, like I've directed Alabo's videos and all that, like done his album art, and I like all of those things, and I get into that to do it, but let the art be the art is also a very beautiful thing, and like doing it, like not forcing yourself to check those boxes. Because I've seen that. I've seen a lot of our friends do that, and like I think that's also something you can move away
there's this danger of falling into that whole
system.
Yeah, so we have to be. There's a fine line. I mean, if you find the balance.
Yeah.
So the balance works differently every time.
Yeah.
But then you need to be intentional in finding
that's the word.
Yeah.
It's not just doing it for the sake of doing it.
Yeah.
Everything you do, that's the thing I do with my art and designs as well. Is like everything I do, I ask myself like, does this make a difference? Am I just putting a line because you need to put a line, or like
is it really necessary?
Yeah. I think it's very very important to have that intentionality with every step.
True.
With the podcast also, like I'm trying to be more intentional with every single thing I do and all that stuff. Yeah. But yeah, Uri, what's going on in your life? What's next?
I'm recording my solo album, but it'll take some time. I have a lot of things I want to portray, so I don't want to rush into it just because there's a demand for it right now. But I'm also recording my band's EP.
Wow.
So
busy man.
Yeah. So hopefully we're targeting January, February to release it. It's been a long time coming, but we believe that this is the right time for it.
Yeah.
So we have recently released a song with Moko Koza, and then so that was the first single from the EP. Hopefully by December we're targeting to release another, and next year the EP comes out, and maybe after that, not maybe, the plan is to go for a northeaster eventually.
Amazing.
First, and maybe India later on. Like let's make all the mistakes we have to make
Yeah,
here,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because we cannot be making mistakes out there. So
We can. Like,
yeah, it's okay, it's fine. But then like whatever we have to learn, that small
might as
little
well
thing,
do it here.
do it
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
close
that
to
makes sense.
home,
Yeah.
easier to recover. Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
and I wanted to ask this before, but I'm asking now. Where does your humor come from, bro? Like,
Humor? I have humor.
this was not funny. Like,
No, but then what? I don't think I'm a funny person.
no, I think you are. I think everyone in this room will agree that you're
Okay,
funny.
Thank you.
Like,
That's a first. I don't know.
I don't think it's a first,
I'm borderline annoying and funny, so
which is cool.
so I don't know. I don't know if I'm annoying someone or I'm being funny. So, but I don't know. My dad's quite funny.
Family, na?
I picked it
Does
up.
sarcasm run in your family?
Yeah. My mom and
Same.
we speak like we make fun of each other.
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah, yeah.
maybe it comes from there.
You tell it from like a little tera kuina.
Yeah.
Like, you do a bit of.
Sita kota grown up.
Yeah.
So, and my family, they're
Same.
like they know when to be serious,
Yeah.
but then they know how. I think we pick it up along the way.
Yeah. Same. Yeah, I think that's within family.
think-
Yeah. So yeah, but what's something that you would want the people to know, or like anything you want to share, like thoughts, any message
Oh.
per
Wow.
se?
Such, I mean, first of all, I'm not someone who likes to give advices to people because
Yeah.
like
Yeah, of course.
I'm also very limited and
Yeah.
I also have a lot of shortcomings. But then one thing I would like to share, I mean, because maybe this is something I've picked up along the way.
Yeah.
I think we're living in a world where right now we're too hard on ourselves. The demands of, I mean, first of all, society and obviously ourselves, we put these unnecessary demands
Yeah.
upon ourselves, and then we slow ourselves down, or we tend to not be able to carry that weight. So if I could share anything, or if I wanted anybody to tell me something when I was younger, I'll be like, I think it's fine. Don't be so hard on yourself. Like, it's like
Yeah.
it's cool. I mean, like life it's there. Like
Yeah.
it's not that difficult. I mean, like
Yeah.
things. I mean, there are difficult times, but then I think being hard on yourself does not help you at all, right? So
Yeah.
so easy. I mean, so easy to say, but then so difficult to apply.
Yeah.
But then when you loosen up a little bit, loosen up as in not like ulta pulta, but then like
Not being hard on yourself.
don't be so hard on
Yeah,
yourself. Like I think it makes.
Life
I
is
mean,
long.
we start
is
to value the little things.
I think the word is grace.
Yeah.
Having grace upon yourself, I guess.
Sure,
Up to
yeah.
yourself, being,
Yeah. Don't beat yourself up so much.
yeah.
I mean, that's what I would like to.
Yeah, that's so good. Thank you. And you said you don't want to end it, like you want to end it with funny and like laughing, like we will, but like when we do panel talk and all that also, like I always try to end it with this line of Matthew chapter 6 verse 33, like seek first the kingdom of God and all these things will be added
Yes.
unto you. You're someone that I know, like I've always seen you, and like again in the interactions that we've had, and like now as you do this as well, like I'm already seeing like, and as I know your story a bit more, just God's grace and like how God's hand has been upon your life and all that stuff. Right? So just and as you own this and like kind of over the past years that you said you're getting closer and all that stuff, like what has been your favorite Bible verses? Do you have any? Like any kind of things that have
Never really. Nothing like, I mean, nothing specific, right? As of now.
really?
Yeah.
Or yeah, cool. Have you
But I keep going back to Psalm 23. I don't know if it's my favorite verse.
the whole
thing.
Love it.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Every time I'm a little lost, every time I'm a little confused,
Yeah.
I always tend to go back to that.
Yeah.
Because I think when I was a kid, my mom forced us to memorize that,
Yeah.
right? So it's a place of
Wow.
comfort for me every time I go
Wow.
back to it. So like, we were forced to memorize, so it stuck with me. And then now every time I'm a little confused, and like, because I know I find peace when I read that. So I don't know if that's my favorite, but then that's a verse I
A refuge kind of.
I keep going back to again and again. Like, and every time I read it, it feels a little bit different.
So
It's this. I know what's the next verse. I know exactly what's coming, but it just feels a little
it
bit different.
speaks to your season. It
Yeah,
speaks
yeah,
to
yeah.
where you are. Like
Every time.
I have that all the time, and like I would hear Oceans 1,000 times, but when the 1,000th time when I hear it,
Mhm.
I hear a line
Yeah.
that is speaking to that one season that I'm in my life. No,
True,
like happens all the time, and that's just an example of it's a living God.
Mhm, mhm.
And even I think during Go conference, I was speaking to Udi Mongson, part of Lighthouse Church. We were talking about how like the moment you stop having revelations,
Mhm.
you have to check ourselves
Yeah.
because God